Hello everybody, Kelvin here, and today we'll be covering chapter 3 of CCNA 2, and we are doing lab 3.2.2.5, and it's configuring VLANs and trunking. So as you can see on my left on the packet tracer, I've already set up the devices. I've colour coded them as well to make it a little bit easier, and just so I don't have to keep scrolling up on the Word document, I have included the addressing table alongside my topology. So we're going to jump straight in. As usual, I won't be providing the answers for the questions that might be asked within. I'll just be going through the configurations, and hopefully those that are completing the lab can fill in the answers based on what we configure. At this stage in CCNA, the labs are still pretty straightforward until you get to the end of CCNA 2 and moving onwards to CCNA 3 and 4, where they do get a little bit tougher and you are left to kind of think for yourself. However, as I mentioned in previous videos, I will be going through all the CCNA 2 labs 3 and 4. Okay, so we're going to jump right in and we're going to start now. So I won't go over the background scenario. The required resources we've already configured on the packet tracer. So we'll have a look at part 1. And part 1 is build the network and configure basic device settings. Okay, so in step 1, we've already cabled the network as shown in the topology above. We don't need to initialize and reload the switches as we are using packet tracer, so all the switches and stuff we've put in shouldn't have out saved on the devices. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right in to step 3, which is configure basic settings for each switch. So we've got 2 switches in the topology, so tell you what I'll do just before I actually continue. I'll just name the switches and the devices as shown in the topology. Just give me a second. And so we've got switch 2. Switch 1, PCC, PCB and pcehr. Okay, so we'll just scroll back down to step 3. So we'll start with switch 1, jump straight onto the command line. So en conf t, so global config, and we'll start by changing the host name, and we start with switch 1, so the switch 1 host name. Now step 3a, disable DNS lookup, so we'll do a no IP domain dash lookup, enter. I'm going to assign class as the privileged exec password, so we'll do enable password class. We jump to step D, assign Cisco as the console and VTY passwords and enable a login for console and VTY. Okay, so we'll do line con 0 to get into the console line, and we'll do password Cisco, and we need to enable login. We've done that. We'll do line VTY 0 to 15, password Cisco, and login. Okay. We need to enable login synchronous on step 3E for the console line. So we'll jump back to the console line. There we go. So it's just login synchronous and enter. And step 3F is configuring a banner to warn users that unauthorized access is prohibited. Okay. So we'll do banner MOTD unauthorized access is prohibited. Enter. Step 3G, we're going to configure the IP address listed in the addressing table for VLAN 1 on both switches. Okay, so let's have a look at the IP address. Okay, so we'll configure the IP address for VLAN 1. Interface VLAN 1 should tell us that that's the default. Set the IP address of 192.168.1.11. Let me just verify that up here. Yep, 1.11. Okay, and it's a Class C subnet mask, so it's 255.255.255.0. Okay, enter that, and we'll still apply the no shutdown command to change the state. So moving on, we need to administratively deactivate all unused ports on the switch. Okay. So we'll just change the preferences a minute to show port labels. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll do the interface range command. So we've got, let's have a look on switch 1. We are currently using fastethernet 01 and fastethernet 06. So we could do interface range fastethernet 02 to fastethernet 05. We can apply the shutdown command. There you go, that's changed the interfaces to administratively down now. Then we need to do from 7 to 24, then both gigabit Ethernet interfaces. So interface range, and we'll do F07 to F024. Apply the shutdown command. Turns them to down, and we'll do the same for gigabit 0, 1 and 2. And it's shut down again. There we go. So that's all the ports on switch 1 that are not in use, now shut down. Now it's asking us to copy run start, so we'll just quickly end that and copy run start and enter. So that's switch 1 done now. We'll move on to switch 2. Okay, and again we'll start with configuring the host name to S2. Then we'll just follow the same steps in step 3 as we did for switch 1. So I'll just fly through these quickly. Sorry, class. IP address for VLAN 1. And again, we need to shut down all unused ports on switch 2. So we'll do the interface range. And what we're using here, we're using 1, 18 and 11. So we're going to do 2 to 10. And we're going to do 12 to 18. Not 12 to 17, sorry. Then we're going to do 19 to 24. And we're going to do both gigabit Ethernet interfaces, like so, and that's that done. Okay, so we'll run that, copy, run, start. Okay, so that's step 3 done. Now we'll move on to step 4, which is configuring the PC hosts, and we shall again refer to the addressing table for that. So for pcehr, PCB and PCC, we have the IP addresses there on the side. So we'll just configure those static addresses now, starting with pcehr, 92168, 10.3, class C subnet, gateway 192.168, 10.1. PCB 92168, 10.4, 192.168, 10.1, and PCC 192.168, 20.3, 192.168, 20.1 gateway. So that's done now. And we'll move on to step 5. As a forewarned before, we'll be providing answers, but from the configurations, if you are completing the lab, you should be able to gather your answers based on what we do. Okay, so now we're just going to verify that PC hosts can ping one another. So we shall start with pcehr, for instance, and we'll ping the other PCs, 92168, 10.4 for PCB, and yeah, we'll get a reply there. We'll try 20.3 for PCC. 92168, 20.3. Okay, that seems to be timing out. It is on a different network. Bearing that in mind. So now we'll move on to PCB. And we'll start with pinging pcehr. It should go through because it's on the same network. There we go, we get a reply there. And then we'll try 20.3 for PCC. And you may get a request timeout again. Yep, there we go, it's timing out. So we'll move on quickly to PCC. It shouldn't be able to ping any of the other two devices. So we'll start with pinging pcehr. And as you can see, the timing out, and that'll also be the same situation for PCB. I will just, for the sake of the lab, I will just show you the timeout for that as well. There we go, so they are all timed out as I said. Okay, moving on. We move on to part 2, and we're going to create VLANs and assign switch ports. So in part 2 you will create student, faculty and management VLANs on both switches. You will then assign the VLANs to the appropriate interface. Show VLAN command is used to verify your configuration settings. Okay, so we're going to start with switch 1. I'll just turn off these port labels for now. So if we're starting with switch 1, and we're going to configure 3 different VLANs starting with VLAN 10. So we'll go conft VLAN 10, name student, and we'll do VLAN 20, name faculty, and we'll do VLAN 99, which is management. Yep, and we'll end that. We'll do the same on switch 2. Conf T, VLAN 10, name student, VLAN 20, name faculty, and VLAN 99, name management. Okay, and that's that done. So now we need to issue the show VLAN command, and as you can see here, we now have 3 VLANs we've just created. VLAN 1 is there by default. For those that didn't know, it is the default VLAN and it's always there. Can't delete it either. But yeah, there we go. So we'll just do a show VLAN on switch 1 as well. And as you can see, we have the same 3 we've just configured as well on switch 1. That's cool. So we'll just scroll down. Those that have got questions to answer, if you are filling out this lab and following it, do pause the video and so you don't lose track of where you are. So what we're going to do now in step 2 is we're going to assign VLANs to the correct switch interfaces. Okay, so we're going to assign pcehr to student VLAN. Okay, so we'll do that on switch 1 first. We'll jump back into configuration mode, global config, and we'll go to, we'll just check the interface. We'll put port labels on again. So the interface there connected to pcehr, it says it's going to be VLAN 10 and the interface is fast Ethernet 06, okay? So I will do interface fast 06. And what we need to do is change it to an access port. Switch port mode access, then switch port access VLAN 10. There we go. Then we need to, in 2, move the switch IP address VLAN 99, okay? So we need to start by taking the IP address off VLAN 1. So we'll do interface VLAN 1, no IP address. Then interface VLAN 99, stage change to up, IP address 192.168.1.11.255.255.255.0 subnet, and we'll end that there. And do a quick show VLAN brief to see that the student PC now is in VLAN 10. And there we go. So you can see the port now. We've got VLAN 10, which is a student VLAN. The status is active, and we have the port fast Ethernet 06 within that VLAN, which is what we wanted. So if you have a look here on the default VLAN 1, you'll see fast Ethernet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, missing 6, then jumps to 7 because 6 is now in the VLAN 10. So let's move on. We'll do the show IP interfaces brief. There we go. And as you can see, let's move down. We would have had an IP on VLAN 1, we would have had an IP address here signed, but we applied the no IP address to that interface, and we've applied the IP address now to VLAN 99, the management interface. Okay. The status is up, the protocol's down. Okay. So let's just deal with that. We applied the no shutdown already, didn't we? We'll because we've got no interface, we haven't assigned no interfaces yet, I believe. So we'll move on, and we now move on to D, which is user topology to assign VLANs to the appropriate ports on switch 2. Okay. So we have PCC, which is in VLAN 20, which is a faculty, and we have VLAN 10, which PCB is on. So we'll do that now. So conf t, global config, and we'll start with interface F011, which is the student PC going in VLAN 10. So again, we'll apply the switch port mode access, enter, and we'll do switch port access on VLAN 10, yeah, and we'll do interface fast Ethernet 18, and we'll do the same switch port mode access, then switch port mode switch port access VLAN 20. There we go. So exit out of that now. Again, we are asked to remove the IP address for VLAN 1 on switch 2, and we are going to configure an IP address for VLAN 99 on switch 2 according to the addressing table. Okay, so we're going to take away VLAN 1's IP address with the no IP address, exit out of that, we'll do interface VLAN 99 IP address 192.168.1.12 Class C subnet, and enter. Okay. So now we're going to do a show VLAN brief. So as we can see, we have in VLAN 10 the fastethernet 011, which is connecting to PCB, and VLAN 20 we have fastethernet 018, which is connected to PCC, which is good. Again, if I just do the show IP interfaces brief, or in brief, go right to the bottom, we can see now that VLAN 1 doesn't have an IP address because we applied the no IP address command, and VLAN 99 does have an IP address because we've just applied the IP address to that interface. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we'll test a few pings. So we'll ping 20.3, which is PCC. We get the timeouts. Then we'll ping PCB, which is 10.4. And we get the timeouts. Okay, so we've got timeouts for all of them. Now there is a reason for that, which you guys are going to have to try to fill out here, and we'll give you the answers for it. We'll simply move on, and you should be able to pick it up. If you don't pick that up now, you should be able to pick it up later on as we move down. Okay. So in part 3, we're going to maintain VLAN port assignments and the VLAN database. In part 3, you will change VLAN assignments to ports and remove VLANs from the VLAN database. Okay. So you're going to start on switch 1. We're going to assign fastethernet 011 to 24, and we're going to put them in VLAN 10. Okay. So we'll do that now. So we'll use the interface range command. That's 2.011 to 24. Now if you remember these switches, these ports, are the unused ports. I'm going to do a switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. We're going to end that there. Show VLAN brief. Now you can see that the ports we've just selected, 11 through 24, are now in VLAN 10. So we've issued the show VLAN brief to verify the VLAN assignments. Yeah, we've just verified that. Now we're going to reassign fastethernet 011 and 21 to VLAN 20. Okay, so now we're going to move 11 and 21 to VLAN 20. So we'll do interface fastethernet 11 we'll do the no switch port access VLAN 10, which takes it back to the normal VLAN 1. So now we need to assign it to VLAN 20, so we'll switch port access VLAN 20, and we'll do the same for interface fastethernet 21. So no switch port access VLAN 10 again, and switch port access VLAN 20, and out of that show VLAN brief. And as you can see now, them two ports are now in VLAN 20, which is good. So we've verified that the VLAN assignments are correct. Now we move on to step 2, which is remove a VLAN assignment from an interface. Use the no switch port access VLAN, which is what we just used, command to remove the VLAN 10 assignment to fastethernet 024. Okay, so we'll jump back in, global config, interface fastethernet 024, no switch port access VLAN 10, and we'll end that. So we'll do the show VLAN brief. Okay. And it's asking you now which VLAN is the fastethernet 024 now associated with. So you guys can fill out that answer. So we'll move on to step 3, and we're going to remove a VLAN ID from the VLAN database. Okay. So we're going to add VLAN 30 to interface fastethernet 024 without issuing the VLAN command. Okay, so we'll jump back into global config, interface fastethernet 024, and we're going to do a switch port access VLAN 30, and we haven't created that, so it creates it for us. Okay, so now we do the end show VLAN brief, and you shall see we have a VLAN 30 now, and fastethernet 024 is now assigned to that VLAN. We'll use the no VLAN 30 command to remove the VLAN from the VLAN database. Okay. So we'll do the no VLAN 30, and we'll do end show VLAN brief again. Now VLAN 30 has disappeared, and fastethernet 024 has also disappeared. There's nowhere to be seen in there. Now, for those that are baffled, I believe there's a question on this which you guys can fill out. But for those that are baffled, when you remove the VLAN and ports are still assigned to that VLAN, the ports don't go back to the default VLAN until you take them out of, until you configure them out of the VLAN there was in that you've taken away. So to do that, we'll do, the steps are coming up anyway, so we'll do that now. You'll go back into interface fastethernet 024, you do the no switch port access VLAN 30, okay, and you'll do an end again and show VLAN brief. And there we go, we've got fast Ethernet 024 now back in the default VLAN. Now that we took it off VLAN there. Okay. So I believe we've done all that bit. So in part 4 we're going to configure an 8021Q trunk between the switches. Okay. So we start with switch 1, global config, and we're going to do the interface connected to switch 2, which is up here, and this is going to be a trunk port, so VLAN data can travel across that link. So what we're going to do is interface fast Ethernet 01, switch port mode, I want it to do dynamic desirable, so that'll try and negotiate trunks if I can remember correctly. So we've done that now, and there we go. Because we've put dynamic desirable, the other side will negotiate the trunks with the link. So now we just wait till the link lights go back to green. We'll issue the show VLAN brief. So we'll end show VLAN brief. And you can see now that the fast Ethernet 01, which was in default VLAN 1, is no longer there anywhere as a port. Now the reason that's being taken away is because that is used as a trunk port, and trunk ports are not listed, as it says rightly there, listed within the VLAN table. So we'll move down and we apply the show interfaces trunk. Okay. We can see that the mode that we've just configured is desirable. The encapsulation is the 8021Q. Status is in trunking, and the native VLAN is 1 because we haven't changed the native VLAN. Okay. And you've also got all the rest, which we won't go into, but you've got the VLANs allowed on the trunk. You can restrict certain VLANs. Okay. So we'll go down now, and we're going to so we're going to verify that VLAN traffic is traveling over the trunk. Okay. So we'll go back to pcehr, and we're going to send a ping to PCB, which is 10.4, and last time it wouldn't ping, and I said to you that you may get your answer for a question above further on, and there you go. So now it can ping, so something we've just configured has allowed us to now be able to ping. So we'll try ping PCC 20.3. Okay, remembering it's not on the same VLAN. Okay, so we get timeouts. So we'll just move on. So, step 2, manually configure trunk interface fast Ethernet 01. Okay. So we'll do that now. Command's just a little bit different, so we'll go back into interface fast Ethernet 01, and we just apply the switch port mode trunk. Instead of dynamic desirable, we just apply trunk. So we'll do the end and show interfaces or int trunk, and you can see that the mode now has changed to on and not desirable as it was before. So part 5, we're going to delete the VLAN database. Okay. In part 5, you will delete the VLAN database from the switch. It is necessary to do this when initializing a switch back to default settings. And just to give you an heads up, if you are taking the practical Cisco exams, this is something that will be required within that, so it's good to know. So we'll issue the show flash, and if we can see there, we have on number 3 VLAN.dat. Now that's where the VLAN database is. So we're going to delete that now. So we do the delete, delete VLAN .dat, and it'll ask you to confirm it with a question mark and enter again. Yep, enter, and it's done. So if we do a show flash, we've got no VLAN database now, which was up here under number 3. We only have 1 and 2 now, which that's the save config and that's the image. Okay. And that's pretty much, without answering the questions or giving you the answers to the questions, pretty much the lab done. So yeah, any questions, feel free to send me a message, comment on this video, and watch out for more upcoming videos on CCNA. Bye for now.